You're live. Oh, hold on. Something's going on. Oh, no. My desktop audio. We actually have audio issues. Hold on.
All right. So are we talking? So you got it this time. Okay. Unscripted. Unscripted.
Yep.
Whatever. I can never. Scene 23. Oh, take 5.
Something.
Okay. All right. So now we should be live. The video should be coming through. There should be audio on all of this.
I hope so.
So far, this show is living up to its name.
Unscripted. Absolutely. Totally unscripted so far. What better start to a show?
Well, it's properly named, and it seems okay. So, as far as the name goes, while we're waiting for this video to come through, because I would like to see that the video is actually going to come through.
I'm seeing it on YouTube, so hopefully you'll see it soon.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Like, why are we not seeing it there? Okay, so you're seeing the video on YouTube, huh?
Yes, I
I'm
am.
going to actually leave, and I'm going to come back to
Just refresh it.
Yeah, and see if it actually is going to be showing. And it's not still.
Oh.
But you're seeing the actual video. Like, I'm seeing the live, right? I'm seeing the image. I'm seeing the stream.
Right.
I'm just not seeing any video.
Yeah, I actually have it working on my side. So from Caster going out, it's going out good. Are you speaking?
No, I'm not speaking.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out if there's sound.
Actually have.
Like if I'm hearing anything through there or.
I'm hearing it through YouTube as well. Caster and YouTube both have audio.
Caster and YouTube both have audio.
Yep.
But
let me let me check this. Hey, look, Udicci.TV is live now.
Okay, but live with what?
Hold on. Hey, look, Udicci.TV is live now. So, we're good there. I can hear it on Udicci.TV, so we've got audio. So,
okay.
Unscripted continues.
Okay, so on my computer, I don't see it. So I'm just going to close that and go away for a bit and not worry about it. Now, that could make some sense because I had the creator thing open. All right. So, Unscripted, take 6.
Well, let me make sure you getting off of there didn't actually end the video.
I didn't get off that. Oh. No, I closed one. I have the live producer still open. Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that maybe that would if anybody
Yeah,
does comment, I'll be able to
see it.
know that. But anyways, all right. So how did it go with Greg today?
It went very well. We're actually, next step is going to be getting in touch with a programmer that he works with here in the, I think he's, well, I don't know, I'm not going to guess where he's at, that has been working with him a little bit and just finished a project, so that'll be fun. And I'm going to be taking over some project management aspects of some of the projects that he's working on. So definitely a step in the right direction for understanding the technology more, for sure.
Now, did you actually talk with the other programmer today, or that
No,
day?
he wasn't able to make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just Greg and I talking about kind of like a plan forward, and then I shared about where we had created our software up to the point now that we can start bringing data over into the blockchain pretty much as necessary. We just got to tighten a couple of things up and make a couple of connections through a wallet, and we'll be all set.
All right. Well, that's cool. So here's kind of a funny thing. For the show, I was getting ready to do the post out online, and I was going to sort of explain the name Unscripted and why it was SCRY, right? The actual
Right.
script thing. So I started writing like it's a script, and I was like, let me make sure that I get this right. So this is what script is. According to Wikipedia, in cryptography, script is a password-based key derivation function created by Colin Percival, originally for the Tarsnap Online backup. The algorithm was specifically designed to make it costly to perform large-scale custom hardware attacks by requiring large amounts of memory. So, see, I misunderstood what script. I thought script was actually a script language.
Oh, well, no, it's a model.
S-script. I'm sorry. S-script.
Yeah, S-script.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I thought that S-script was like a script language that you like wrote stuff for on the blockchain.
No,
but it's not.
There's actually a lower level scripting language that is a little bit more assembler-like. That's called script, which does lead to a little bit of confusion, but it's spelled script, S-C-R-I-P-T. So
Yeah,
this
so
one,
that's the S-script.
yes. Well, this is the S-script, what you're talking about in the name.
Right. Well, I'm saying so the S-script is that low level, it sounds like, because this is like the explanation here of S-script is, that it's a derivative function and that's actually an algorithm. It's not a scripting language.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me, I'm looking up something here that, oops. So the extension script code, pronounced S-script, is a high-level smart contract language for Bitcoin SV. This extension adds rich language support for S-script to VS Code.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was thinking it was.
Right.
So, I mean, this explanation on Wikipedia is like, not that.
No.
I mean, it's probably that also.
Yeah, this is a layer on top of that.
But they're both called S-script.
So I'm not sure. Actually, I'd have to go to the other computer. I'll touch on that one later. But there is another library for script. Let's see. So script, Bitcoin uses a scripting system for transactions similar to forks. So I'm going to send this to you, and you can see if anything here matches up with what you found. So what I showed, it says script, Bitcoin uses a scripting system for transactions similar to Forth. Script is a simple stack based and processed from left to right as a series of sequential instructions. Data is pushed onto the stack, and opcodes are used to perform operations on the items on the stack. So this is
Yeah. Now this it says no Bitcoin script knowledge, required. Like so, this I'm like, okay, I get this part of it. Now I'm so like I'm just wondering if maybe it is the same language, like as what they're talking about. At which point it's kind of interesting because it seems like maybe what's happened is they've written a script, like you're saying, layer on top of an algorithm. So it's almost like scripted math or something. I don't know.
No, it goes back to the days. I remember when I worked for Global Vista and had the Oracle guy come in, and I had just had the pleasure of picking out a package called Rogue Wave, and essentially Randy came in and was like, "Yeah, get rid of all that because it's a layer." Well, this is like a layer on top of script, which is on the Bitcoin SV wiki.
But it's the same name, same
No,
everything. So it's
no, it's not the same name. It's spelled
Yeah, it
different.
is.
It's spelled
No,
different.
it's not. No, it's not.
The wiki I just sent you.
No, the wiki I'm looking at.
Oh, the
No,
wiki. So the wiki the wiki you're looking at, is that for potentially for another blockchain? Is it Bitcoin SV related?
No, that's the point. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin SV related. I mean, because script is something that apparently can be used across a lot of them.
Right, and I think that's what script is for Bitcoin SV, is a layer that fits like it probably.
That's what I'm saying. This is also S script. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. I just closed out the. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. All right. So yeah, that's what. So the one that I just sent you there, it's. Crypto algorithm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to read. Like I said, it's this. If this is the same, which it sounds. I mean, they go as far as they pronounce S script. That's the big thing in the one that we're talking about in Bitcoin. It's pronounced S script. I mean, it's written the same. It's the same name. It's the same. This pronunciation thing. Like people want.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't run across this version of it in Wikipedia. The only one I've run across is the Bitcoin SV wiki. So,
right, which it's just interesting, right? I mean, because if we're talking about the same thing, then effectively that language that you're talking about that goes real low level, that's what this sounds like. And maybe that there is just a.
Well, this is a JavaScript version that allows us to go to this level, to that level. That's the difference. So script is it's what's got to be put on the blockchain, and script is what puts it on the blockchain in that format. It's just a layer above that.
Yeah, no, so are you saying then that there's two different languages and they're both named the same thing, or is
potentially yes? It might be
Okay.
the same one, or it might be just a developer wrote one and a little bit higher level person, like a project manager or somebody, wrote the other one.
Okay.
That might be the
That's
difference in it.
So as we attempt to descript and unscript and make everything more clear about this blockchain thing, this is no more clear than it was earlier. So okay,
Absolutely.
whatever. All right. So let's see here. I had some notes that I made for tonight. Okay, so we talked about IPFS the other day, and that sort of sounds like it really then just becomes a matter of which way we want to approach it first, whether we want to use the Bitcoin SV, what do you call it, B protocol? Is that what you called it?
Or B protocol or Bitcoin computer. So that's actually kind of what Brian and I have been talking a little bit about, and Greg is trying to identify. We're going to put together all of the tools that are in front of us, and we're going to say, okay, we use these ones for this type of purpose, these ones for this type of purpose, these ones for this type of purpose, so that way we can better direct the developers that are working on this stuff through the project management. So trying to choose the tools ahead of time for them. So we're going to have a much better understanding of what's available, what's out there, and what we use each thing for. I have a pretty good understanding of a lot of them, like Run, and there's a whole bunch of them: Bitcoin Computer Run, Planaria, and other things like that. And we can definitely help in a lot of the understanding of which one belongs where.
And most of all of those are Bitcoin SV specific.
Yeah, currently those ones are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking is like, as far as Udicci goes, I want to do our best to not be specific, and if we can from day one not be specific, we're almost better off. Now, what I don't know is, like, does that mean that we should be actually trying to connect to Chainlink, right? And then all of a sudden you just do everything and you're across all of them, which is an interesting idea.
Right.
But I like Bitcoin SV as far as like we said, planting our flag there, working there, and making it our primary one.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to start to gain enough understanding to be able to build out for the other ones, to understand what the difference is. And we got to start somewhere. We can't just throw everything at us in all one fell swoop. We got to kind of work our way into it, because each blockchain handles things differently, and trying to come up with the understanding of all the rules. And if you go to that level above, I would prefer to understand the lower level so that I understand what's going on behind the scenes before we just start, as far as for understanding for us.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah, and that's definitely, because I definitely want to kind of open our coin on Bitcoin SV. I mean, I think primarily what I like about Bitcoin SV is the same thing with Cardano, is that their heart toward economy and efficiency. It's interesting. I was having a talk with Dad today, and we were talking. He's like, basically, well, you've been trying to do this investment into the Bitcoin stuff for a while, and should be worth all sorts of money, because you were doing this well before, if you would have just gotten Doge and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I hear you, like, the banker in me hears you. Like, I guess if I looked at this as like stocks and bonds and investing then maybe. But honestly, I would have never thought to look at Doge 3 years ago, because everybody said it was a joke. And instead, I was looking at the ones that seemed to have some sort of like technical purpose to it, because I'm thinking this is a technology more than anything else, but it's not. Right. It's an economy more than anything else, I would say, or at least a community. Right. But it's a community more than anything else. So anyways, yeah, I get the idea of wanting to understand low level. I just want to make sure that we're keeping like the IPFS thing or the Filecoin or whatever that is out there in front of us. Yep. As we get to the point of like going to fully distributed data. Right. Because just nope, you are not bound to any given network. Now that's going to take a little while to get to the mediation piece of it. Right.
Well, Brian and I have already talked about IPFS, and there's probably going to be some things coming up on that. So, we'll definitely have an opportunity to learn about it more and get our hands wet in there. So it's a lot to take in a short amount of time. So we're pushing as quick as forward as we can.
Well, no, that's everywhere, right?
Yep.
So now I'm going to jump over to which my topic that I actually wrote, my title that I wrote this was storing mediated data on chain. Right? That was like, I'm like, okay, like, what am I trying to think through there? And I'm just going to read this and see if it makes sense. This was me trying to kind of get out an idea. And I think what I'm dancing around here is the whole public key, private key. But then what it really is when I think about a social solution, and say that we had a social solution like, Generation Keeper, and on Generation Keeper, you're going to have groups of people who, let's just kind of use your family and my family. Let's say that we don't have any crossover in this example, right? There's going to be your family and there's going to be my family on Generation Keeper. And it seems to me like that data for your family can be, that mediated data can be stored independently at, than our family's data, right? So it needs to be kind of broken out. So that's my kind of lead into where I was like, okay, but how does the public-private key work in this one? So this is what I wrote. I said, hey there, because I was actually writing this as a text to you, and then I was like, no, I'm going to stop this. So I'm reading Token Economy, and I'm on the chapter on cryptography, which has me thinking about related data mediation. And have you considered yet how this will be stored? I said, I guess more so, I'm talking this out to try to get straight in my head for the white paper. So we're talking about two protocol tokens. One which includes the profile and portal, that's and the other which we're calling pop or me, and I think I wanted to just go to me if we can figure that out. So me or mediated environment will be for social solutions. So will handle access to me, but how will me distribute social solution data?
So, I guess there's multiple parts to that question, and the way that I've been talking with Greg and Brian that makes the most sense is that we would have a hybrid solution going all the way back to the data storage and getting to the point where we have data to mediate. So we would store data based on whatever configuration they wanted to choose. So in my mind, the very low level that we could do is just a simple hash, which I don't think that's enough. I want to store like our list items. So when you set up the
hold on a second, I'm going to interrupt you. Padmore just said hello.
Oh, nice. Hey, Tess.
So I'm just responding to her.
Oh, that's great.
Let's see. She'll probably get the hey Tess. Let's see. We'll see. All right, Tess. Yeah. I'm gonna hit enter. Tell me where. Did you get it while we were talking? How far?
That's awesome. So
yeah. All right. Say that again.
So for the social solution data, as we want to store it on the chain, there's a lot of people are going just like a hash, where they get the hash that's stored on the blockchain. Then that hash opens up access through a data that's stored on a database. My first level, instead of going that low level, which I think is probably going a little bit too low level, I want to store enough information that we're bringing each record has a transaction on the blockchain that's associated with it, and we'll probably keep it at just the record for right now, but we could get into like combinations of things set up, but and then the next evolution, so you'd have like a title and a description that shows up in the list along with who created it and the dates and stuff like that. Then from there, so that would give us a very small chunk of data that we're storing on the blockchain, keeping our costs to a minimum. Then the next level would be where people could actually say, choose which fields that they want to include in the storage on the blockchain for security. And then the third level would be the whole record stored. And those are kind of the three levels. And that seems to be, that seems to be like talking with Greg and Brian, that seems to be like something that is they're really, really liking that approach with it. So
I guess there's a few parts there that I still feel like there's a gap in my understanding. And first is more along the lines of a single record as a transaction. So does what exactly? Like, so are you you're saying you're gonna still be using the database, basically?
Yeah, and then the transaction ID, the transaction itself would store the key that would open up access to the additional data that's stored in the database.
So basically so the key goes to the related data.
Yes. And that's what opens up access to it. That's how we're keeping it secured on the data and the API side, the database side.
So basically the database will be reliant on the blockchain for security.
Yes.
And the blockchain, the database will still be hosted in the cloud.
Yep.
So we'll have a quote unquote, for using the terms here, we'll have a centralized database. The key will be to access that will be driven by the blockchain. But what's going to happen is the blockchain, the address, the transaction is actually going to be we'll call it the SQL statement. Well, it's actually going to be the thing that also then says, give me all of these related data. So it's going to provide the structure back to the social solution to say, now return this to me.
Right.
Okay. And then, so like they make a change. All right. So now I'm looking at a list item. I make a change to the list item. That list item gets stored to the.
Well, that would also be another thing that we could have configurable, because we could actually have it where it's just kind of overwriting. And remember how Greg was talking about having an entire chess game stored on a single block? So we would store it inside of a single block, so it would be kind of like a how do you want to call it?
So wait. So I thought that, well, so maybe Bitcoin SV works a little bit different, because I was under the impression that once a block is minted, you don't add or subtract any transactions to it.
It just gets added to the next one. So it's basically like, you're logging all the changes all the way through. And in a lot of ways, we do the same thing in SQL Server. Whenever records are updated in our database, it automatically creates a log of before and after snapshot.
So I guess, yeah, in that case, that's where I'm like, okay, so what are we really doing then when we're updating? So we're going to be updating. So realistically, it's just reacting as, at first, as the security to the database. Yeah. Just start there. Yep. Right. So fine. Enough. That's simple enough. And then it's going to be updating the database.
Yep.
And what? Like, why? So if I update the list item, right, and we're going to write that transaction to the blockchain, why? Kind of idea. Why would we be writing that one to the blockchain?
Because that's just the way that they do it. It's the same thing as us keeping a log in the database. It's no different. And then when we get the next version of the record, we'll always get the most current version when we do our query, and we'll be able to circle back to any version of the record.
Right, but now where are we getting the most recent version? On the blockchain or in the database?
On the blockchain.
And okay.
And it would be stored on the database as well, obviously.
All right. So then we start referring first to the blockchain. So in some ways, it's just over time going to get less and less reliant on the database.
Yes.
And more. Okay. So now that gets into so good. I get that idea.
Yep.
And then I get to the point where I'm going, okay, so, what do we really need the database for, right? Because ultimately, because of the way the mediators work, right, like me could basically put an entire
the transaction cost is basically what we're talking about at this point.
No, this wouldn't be transaction cost, because this is something that, this is where I went back to the IPFS thing, is that you would basically take the data that's in a social solution and you would put it out on IPFS, and then you would the transactions of the records would still be on the blockchain, but anytime you wanted to reference the data in the same way you're talking about, you would just go out to IPFS and look at a container. And that's where it would be like that, like Tim's family would have the Generation Keeper family edition, let's call it, right out on IPFS. And we would have our family, and that so that way all of our data is always in IPFS and you're kind of keeping that transactional record, like you're saying, on the blockchain. And then I guess it does become this idea, like at what point could the blockchain conceivably just manage all of that? And that's a little bit different.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we still do in the API that we wouldn't be able to do that yet. So we'd have to do a big transition over to client side, and there's still a lot of work on that side.
Yeah. So, so I get that. So basically, in a weird way, we're going to wean ourselves. That's a horrible way of saying, because effectively we're trying to create a hybrid solution for anybody who may want a hybrid solution, who may, a lot of corporations or whatnot are going to, they're not about to just jump over to blockchain. They're going to want to run concurrent systems for a while anyways. And then, so in a weird way, it's going to be like we're going from a database. We're going to be using the blockchain for access, and then we're going to go from a database to effectively a flat file. A distributed flat file.
Yeah, not necessarily. Yeah, I don't know that I'd call it a distributed flat file. It's probably a lot more advanced than that. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so that's kind of like the mediated. That makes sense. So that's going to be a piece as I'm writing it that we're going to want to make sure is accurate and yeah, whatever. Because that's going to be, like I said, that gets a little bit kludgy for
Yeah.
me on my side. So you also talked about like looking at the actual community commerce model, and I don't recall if I have a strict community. I can't remember if like where the actual community commerce model is, but we have like parts of it in the business plan, and then we also have like a community commerce, and I have one from 2019, which I'm thinking is the most uh, recent one. So on this, what I thought about, like, so I'm just going to read through this for a little bit. Because I know you talked about like starting to actually act in the capacity of what we're trying to do here. So, anyways, so community commerce is a professional broker agent business model with an associated entrepreneurial apprentice program designed for business and community growth, development, and support. Udicci will utilize our social platform to prepare, train, assist, equip, and manage a network of partners. This independent professional network delivers valuable in-demand skills and marketing, sales, and IT solutions to business and communities. Revenue sharing across the network encourages mutual support and growth. Entrepreneurial apprentices provides opportunity for enthusiasts. Okay, we don't need that. So think about community commerce like Uber for marketing, sales, and IT, or any other professional service, supported through online business development training and facilitated by local professionals who benefit from the success of those in their trust. It's an earn and learn social program which financially benefits all involved. Community commerce is similar to broker agent models known in real estate, insurance, and other industries. The model is unique yet familiar in the technology industry and capitalizes on the growing independent contractor trend we see with Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, and other decentralized service providers. Funny, we were using the proper language back then. The dynamic nature of community commerce model will permit Udicci to co-create value with professionals in the markets they serve. So here we got into where we had agents, and what is an agent?
Well, I just sent you a link that you might actually enjoy jumping over to, because this has community commerce, paths to prosperity, agents, brokers, mutual value teams, entrepreneurship.
That's in this one.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, that I'm actually looking at there. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is got this. This is an A-page one. Yeah, so we've got the agents. Agents provide on-demand skills, talents, knowledge, and value to local and national brands. Agents can profit from professional services, cross-selling other team member services, and recurring social solution sales. Agents are responsible for developing relationship with brands and teams. Agents are encouraged to participate in ongoing professional development. And let's see, agents provide in-demand professional services and sell solutions while earning 20 to 75% of the revenue share. Brokers serve and grow markets by creating relationships, market partners, which serve specific markets with value-oriented products and services. Brokers build and lead a team of agents who provide necessary and beneficial professional services. Brokers champion professional development, foster mentorpreneur relationships. Brokers open doors of opportunities for agents by establishing sales channels and acquiring clients. Brokers seek to maximize mutual value creation by strengthening talent and leading revenue. Brokers are connectors in the community and advocates of the mentorpreneurship program. Then we get into mutual value teams, and we're commissioning a brand, and we've got commissioners, and not going to go through all of those. And we've got the plan for the apprentice for the first year. All right, then we get into here's like some compensation. We talk about the advocates get like 5 to 7%. Agents get 5 to 75%. Brokers get 7. Commissioners get 3. And we don't have necessarily the market partners in there, because market partners get something else inside of there. And market partners, I think, are going to end up being like people who we help create coins in the market or something like the Carolina Connection brand. So it's a lot of the products that we're even talking about, like Generation Keep would almost be a market partner at this point. Okay. So we may want to like reconsider like maybe the naming of that. But
it's funny how we go all full circle right back to market partners. That was kind of the first approach we went with, and that one got kind of tabled for some of the other stuff, but it does seem to make more sense now.
Well, the first one we went with was partner brokers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, which is it really comes all the way back around there. So I think that all of the business model could be programmed into a smart contract. I think that's a big piece of the smart contract.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking that I'm going to put most of the stuff anyways in the smart contract for the social solutions and mediators. It's going to hold some of the key components to unlock the access into those. So, and then we can assign value to some of those smart contracts where when somebody actually is utilizing a feature of the social solution, we can actually start charging for it, engagements or whatever.
Yeah, so now when we have a smart contract, now do we have one smart contract? Does each protocol have a single? No, you have as many smart contracts.
We have a lot. We will probably have quite a few.
Yeah, so and then are the smart contracts, are they all written in, so that's what's written in script?
That's what the S script is for, JavaScript, S script. It's not JavaScript, it's sort of like JavaScript. And then it gets compiled, and that's where I kind of go back to where I was saying we go back to our early days of the code generation, and we could actually start generating some of the code that gets put directly into the smart contract. So now the smart contract, every smart contract, am I saying this right? Every smart contract is also a token. Or creates a token, let's say. It becomes a transaction on the blockchain. Which is a token, right? It's a token transaction. They're kind of interchangeable. Sometimes I think they tend to use token when it is assigned value versus a I don't know. It's kind of confusing still because they use them so interchangeably, and each person that I've talked to seems to use it a little bit differently interchangeably. So, yeah, no, I get that because I think the way I'm understanding it is that the smart contract basically, let's say, is the structure of the input, right, and then the output, the thing that gets written to the chain, the transaction, so like what came through the smart contract, that information, the information of that transaction is what gets stored, and once it's stored, it's a token. It could be a function too. So that's where it gets a little bit. That's where it gets a little bit kludgy in understanding because it can be data, but it can also be methods, and methods could return data. Right. But it's nonetheless still a token. Yes. Right. The token is basically right. Because the token is what basically gives all of the object. The token serves as the address for the object and the object's properties. More or less, yes. As far as I understand that, yes, there's other factors that come into play, obviously, based on how you code it and stuff like that. So there's a lot. What? So basically everything that gets done is a token, and the non-fungible aspect of the token is the fact that it is unique. It's been structured by the smart contract. Yes. But it is the data in that one that makes it quote unquote non-fungible. Yes. And versus the ones which are fungible, which are the tradable, and that's the currency. Yes. And the currency is the one that basically you can just kind of connect and out. And this is the thing, the currency is also a smart contract, right? And that's kind of the interesting piece there is where we have to start thinking in terms of like, all right, that's where the governance of that's where the token economics comes into it,
right? Which is kind of interesting. So
Yep.
there's tokens all over the places. It's like tiddlywinks, times a zillion or something.
If I start stepping on them, there's an issue.
Yeah. Okay, so that now, the token thing, that piece.
All right, let me ask you a question.
All right. Yep.
So, Chuck, you've been working on a white paper. So
Yeah.
where are we with that? I was talking to Greg a little bit about that. He's really, really excited to read it and kind of go over it with us and talk to us about it. And so I was just kind of curious where you're at with it. And then I know you also had some marketing information that you were kind of tying into it all. And I was just kind of curious where those were as well.
Well, let's see here. The last night I had a minor heart attack when I couldn't find the time to build. And I thought I'd lost the whole thing. So after I woke up from that minor heart attack and didn't have a scar down the middle of my chest, I was like, okay, that's okay.
Good.
That's really where all of my time is right now, is focused on that one, because I need to get that straight, those things straight in my head, so that I'm more properly writing the actual white paper.
Right.
But to more specifically answer your question, there.
It looked like a white screen. Great.
I really don't have a lot, like the stuff that I just talked about earlier that I had written down about POP. And so, I have a market. I started out with a marketplace objective. It is to develop Udicci into a reliable community partner to partner with blockchains and develop a community commerce apprenticeship entrepreneurial economic model. Technology objective is to create a plainly obvious, I'm going to change that to the mediated environment, which enables customers and communities to define protocol level asset sharing using common language. So I think that that's ultimately more and more what I'm recognizing is that we are truly creating an asset management platform, right? Because every one of these tokens is an asset, and that's how we want people to begin looking at it. It just so happens that we get to allow people to define the asset how they want to define it, and then use their language to actually more customize it. So that's that piece. Then I say, I get into that. We have two initial protocols, what those protocols do. And say, so I start on to social solutions, are simple and enterprise level data and media management applications, dApps. Social solutions are built on data mediators, interactions with mediators defined through engagements. Engagements can be uniquely defined and constructed. Engagements can be named by the user and become plainly obvious protocol functions. So, and then I have this personal voice aspect. So the white paper is not very long at all, but it's more for me, what I know, like just like we're looking at the commerce model, it's really going and getting all of that old stuff,
right,
bringing it new, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, definitely made sense to start with the commerce model. There's trying to put that together, underlying the solutions underlying to support it will be
basically once like this little outline that in my mind, right, we're not trying to create a 50-page white paper. We're trying to create a 7-page executive summary.
Yep. We've done it before. We can do it again.
And it's not an executive summary like the other ones.
Yes.
And that's the difference. Like, I think for many, many years we've, if you will, properly done this, but then we kept trying to reorient it toward the this, what I keep calling now, the broken model. It's like, it has to be done this way. It has to be done this way. It's like, no. It has to be the way that we understand it, so that other people can understand that we understand.
Right.
But I don't know.
The business experience, the business thing experience there that we had.
I mean,
wonder we didn't fit.
And then this gets into, again, like the once we have the white paper and whatnot, like, where are we going to put the website? Right. So that really, it's I keep coming back to, okay. Another thing that I did want to bring up, like, so I've been calling this kind of unscripted thing social shows, right? Because that's more the Udicci.TV side of things. And, these are really just video calls. But then we also have these things, chain stories that we're talking about, right? So as I think about stories on Facebook, these are the things that kind of just last for a day and then they go away. But same idea, right? We got the media bits. So this is where I keep trying to go back and forth. Like, do we want to just use how do we want to put up a website? I mean, part of me wants it to do it our way and just like, okay, let's like move that from here to there. Like, I don't know, but yeah, how do we want to do that? Do we want to just take the command prompt thing and move that forward? Or, and do we want to pull the web stuff only from the chain, right? So that we don't really have, our version of the hybrid is the fact that it's an index HTML and everything else comes from the chain.
Right. We'll have to kind of dig into that a little bit more for sure, because we still have, we do have customers that are relying on the old platform for, the current platform, the old, currently for stuff that they're working with. So we'll have to keep that aspect of it. So maybe we change the Udicci.TV for the transaction viewer, or maybe we get Udicci. Well, actually, we should probably consider like Udicci.me or one of the other ones that we own.
Actually, do we actually just start Udicci.io? Or one of the other ones.
Udicci.me would be perfect because of the for the protocol.
It's the mediated protocol, yeah. So that would be good.
Plus it based on what we want to do, that would be a good first step into the blockchain for us to be able to separate that out, and then we can just start with the console and build out from there whatever we need.
Yeah. So
we have the ability to do pretty much everything we did, with the exception of a few of the custom forms that we had built for the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we need any of that. I think we just use media bits. I think literally we use chain stories, media bits and chain stories, which is just the stories. And that's literally how I think we tell our story. Yeah. And all we're doing is putting, the blocks out there. I mean, and I think we keep keep it really simple. Then we can get it out there. I would almost think that we don't necessarily, we can do a white paper, but basically the white paper is a chain story.
Beyond the story, yeah. No, I get it.
So I mean, that would be, so I guess that's after we plant our flag kind of idea.
Yep. Yeah, we're very close.
Yeah, no, that's cool. All right, so tomorrow we've got for Thursday Night Social, we've got Huff Solos coming back. We've got his partner in the NFT thing coming back, and
I'll reach out to Greg and see if he wants to join us.
Yep. I think that's generally, we're just going to send out another invite. Hey, we're doing this again. We got and then this time we'll just set the expectation that we've got these other three guys. It's going to be Phil Coleman and these other guys. This is going to be an NFT talk, right? So we're going to be just focusing on NFT and having some conversation from there. But if Greg wants to join us or anybody else wants to join us, absolutely. Great. We'll send those out, and then we'll do our Thursday night socials.
All right.
And then, as far as anything else goes, why did we do this unscripted thing?
Why? Well, because we need to start breaking apart the social side and the so more of the message and the education with the more techie kind of talk, and that's where this kind of led to. So,
okay.
I mean, if that was kind of the way I thought, and it's funny because at first we had said TNS would go weekly before we brought any more shows on, and now all of a sudden here we are with a second show going every other week. But I think that, with some of the other stuff we have going on, it probably makes a lot of sense.
No, I agree. I think that I like this from an actual, like we'll call it product and brand development side of things, right? And letting people tune in. One of the things I think about through here is, do we get concerned about how much we're sharing? And I'm to the point, like, I just don't care.
Well, obviously, there's still a lot of things that are behind the scenes that nobody knows yet. So, I mean, there's still structure and years and decades of experience. That
Yeah, I mean, basically, there's already software there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing. Like,
It's
there's
what we've
already
been
that
doing.
piece, and
It's what we've
right,
been doing.
and it's not. Now, that's the other thing too. Is like, I think we're gonna have to, however this is done, like actually make it an open source, right? So that
Yep.
people can see, because that's a big part of that.
It's already. I mean, I've already set it up for that. It's already on GitHub. I just have to open it up. That's all. It's we've already. That's already. I've already set that up for that.
The only thing this is where I do get into questions like, okay, so I can make this open source, but then suddenly, like, the software in this case now suddenly is sort of that's what helps. So then you're like, okay, I understand the open source for the sake of security and people wanting to review it, but if they can just take it and set it up on their own, well, I guess more power to them.
Yep.
Whatever.
Oh,
Yep. More power to them, and we'll see where it goes from there. Because I think ultimately, this is more about community and economics, and if we have a resource and somebody can use it to better the lives of others, then good. Oh, wait, I've got another comment.
Oh.
I don't know how to get to the comments. Oh. Seems I was born for a pandemic. Okay, so Tess says she's fine. Good to see you too. Busy as usual. Seems I was born for a pandemic. I don't quite know what that means, Tess, but maybe we can reconnect as we need to do a reunion show.
I was just going to say, you should bring Verbum back with Tess. Verbum with Tess was a lot of fun.
It was.
15-minute shows.
Yeah, I don't know.
What a good platform that would be.
Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, because there's so many of the other things, and that's kind of like, I want to make sure that I mean, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And that was us, I think, really just kind of learning what we're doing, and she definitely helped give voice to the community, and that was an important side of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but right now, like you're talking about, like just understanding all of this, what we're trying to do right now it's tough to bring in another community show.
True.
When not funny, because I already know that I'm working on these other shows.
Right.
So I'm talking to Sierra and the family that we may come up with one called Gameplay. Okay. And it's going to be, it'll be centering around the Buffalo Bills because Sierra's nuts, right? So we'll do a little talk like this with Justin on that. And then basically we'll kind of get into the financial structuring, the game of finances of football, where we start looking at, caps and what are the rules and why do they exercise the 5th-year option? Like, so we get into that side of the game a little bit more, right? And so we'll kind of have a little bit of fun. So I would like to think that we can get that kind of thing up there and going on Udicci.TV. And those are fun. That'll talk to a whole different crowd. But that talks to a crowd in a way that is, there is a game behind the game that's being played on the field.
Yep.
And there's all these rules that were written for these contracts. And why were they written? Well, like I was having a conversation the other day, like when they exercised the 5th-year option on Josh and Tremaine, like that basically says, okay, you're here.
Yep.
Or the 5th year.
5th year.
But then when they do the franchise thing, like, if they go all the way through and make them do the franchise, it looks like you're getting nervous. Did you lose something?
No.
Okay.
Something. I just had a. I see what it was.
Oh wow. But anyways, yeah. So I think that like I definitely want to do more shows. They also need to be much more natural in on the road that we're on. Just like we're doing right, like, okay, we've got this whole segment on the blockchain. We need to stay on that one, right? Yep. And I think that like in the community times, I definitely I think we had a lot of fun in the community times, and it's just like this is a lot more work.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Have you heard any more from the Fairport?
Haven't heard anything back from Rob yet. We'll be actually, I'm going to be doing an interview with Mike Gladstone on Friday, and it's going to be my first of many interviews that I'm going to be doing with several of the musicians, and I'm going to just try to get some general content. Mike has toured with some bands and done a lot of stuff locally, and he was part of Uncle Plum, which was one of the big Rochester bands here for a while with Elvio Fernandez, who's now touring with Daughtry. So it's really kind of cool. I was just thinking if we could get some of these guys in that are, that are going to be performing at the festival and just get a little bit of a background story and just kind of have some fun with that. I think it would be fun to have that ready and edited prior to the Fairport Music Festival. So.
All right, so these are just kind of like promo spots.
Yeah, just little things, background stories, and filler content.
I'm saying, are you saying for in advance or for there?
Well, I was thinking that we could probably do some of that right at the festival. We could have filler spots that we just pipe in while we're getting ready to have the next guest on Soapbox or something like that. And then, and again, I have to clear all this with Rob. This is unofficial. But there's some other things that I told him, reached out to him about doing some of the live events that he's doing around town and leading up to the festival and trying to raise extra money because they're going to have a dialed back version of the festival this year. So they're trying to raise money through these the pop-up events and through some of the invite events.
So how are they thinking about it being dialed back?
Probably like limited attendance or limited number of people. I don't know what it's going to be. Everything keeps changing. So who knows?
Yeah, that's definitely close. So that's August again. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun. And definitely, when you do talk to him, just ask him, like, if we can, like we said, repurpose Soapbox for the
I think that would be a blast.
Yep. Yeah, and I think like I'd want to go into that like a little bit more prepared and you have like 10, 15 questions ready to just like, really just like, okay, what happened here? But I don't know.
Yep.
Did you ever cut apart the one Soapbox with that girl?
I think we did. Yes. I think I've got it. I think I've got it just indexed. I haven't cut it apart yet. So
okay,
I'll go back and see if I can find it. That would be a good one for some of our promo stuff. That was the Bouncing Baby ones, right?
Yeah. I definitely would like to see that one again.
That one was a blast. There's a few of them that as I've been going through checking on the editing, watching some of the some going back to like even our the first night, our first big night there with Dave and some of the people that came in through that night where it was so much fun just thinking back to some of the different characters that we had that evening, and it was a blast. So
I tell you, if we were able to do that now with what's going on in the blockchain thing, basically all the things that we heard in the community that you can't do, well, now we don't need the permission of the powers that be to get it done.
Yep.
And it would really have changed a lot of those dynamic. It's just but that was cool. That was fun stuff. All right, okay. I'm not really interested. A show. You could interview me about what I've experienced in small business, advice for small. Okay. Yeah. So Tess says I'm not really interested in doing a show. You could interview me about what I've experienced as a small business, advice for small business beyond SBA and SBDC, alternative funding sources, etc. Nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we can definitely do that. That's like so. One of the things I definitely want to get going is something more toward the economic side of things. So that would be kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole, and it's not just, token economics obviously is what we're really focusing on, but the conversation needs to get into much more broad conversations. Having some great, I think today, as opposed to calling like an anti-vaxxer or an anti-masker, I was called I self-labeled, I self-identified, I guess, as an anti-debtor. Yes, that's what it was. He's like, somebody made he was very, very friendly. It was a great conversation. He makes a comment. He's like, some people are just absolutely anti-debt, and some are absolutely anti-this. I was like, yep, that's a good point. I'm probably anti-debtor, like down with Keynes, get rid of him. But these are conversations that are being had, and a lot of the people in the economic realm really do or would understand the blockchains piece of it, but it gets so lost in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's what's really funny in the economic side when you start being like, okay, well, this could actually happen now. Like, what are you talking about? X, Y, and Z. Are you saying Bitcoin? No, I'm saying blockchain. Like, oh, Bitcoin. No, blockchain. Like, and it's interesting, but we need the economic conversation. So, yeah, Tess, absolutely. Tess is like, once I figure out what that looks like, you know, maybe it'll be like econ.me, something like the mediated environment or something. All right. Well, that seems to be about the 45 minutes to an hour that we allowed, since we started about 15 minutes late.
Well,
I think that.
Well, I started recording right when we pretty much went live, so we're right at 58 minutes. So we did pretty good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. Be good to go back and go through and edit this and get some of the good points from it and index it. So,
hey, Tess is listening. She just said anti-debt. Exactly. I'm a proponent, particularly of small business. So what's interesting too is I'm thinking that there's really not that much of a delay. Yeah. Which is interesting because she's basically now able to interact with the conversation.
Yep.
What did you put one out there? All right, let's do this. All right, Dak, all right, Tess, can you play with us? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, can we get a timer ready? Do we have a timer? I'll get a timer. I'm going to get a timer ready.
So we're about 20 seconds behind according to what I just saw.
Oh, how did you see it? Oh, YouTube. You're saying that? Okay.
YouTube.
All right, so Tess, when you hear the word go in just a minute, would you please type, okay, got it, or something quick, right? So I'm going to start the timer just for Tess, because we appreciate you listening in tonight, and we miss you, and we love you, and we appreciate all that you were always to us in our lives. And I want to say this, Tess, thank you for recommending the book Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Thank you. Seriously. I don't know that I would have understood sort of what I'm going to say is the real problem with what I like to call the lie of intersectionality, where people are basically not allowed to express themselves unless they express themselves as they're assigned. And that's a problem. So thank you for that, Tess. And you ready? Here we go. We got the timer. When you hear the word go, type got it. Any mark? Hit set. Go. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
Where's she texting on?
Do, 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 do. Tim said 20 seconds. It's now 20.8 seconds. All right. Well, thank you for playing, Tess. All right. So that was a fun way to end it.
Yep.
And we'll go on from there.
All right.
So, good.
Fading
all
out.
Right.
Fading
good
out.
Night.
Good night from UnsCrypted. Biddle with Udicci.